What's up, guys? I am StarJake here once again with a brand new video. And here today I am going to be doing part 2 of the massive summer collection update that I recently started. I want to go ahead and apologize in advance for these videos taking so long to upload. They were meant to be uploaded at the very end of September, but I got caught up in some stuff and the editing took a while. So both of these are being posted kind of a week or two into October. Whatever the case, though, the video is getting finished, so I am gonna go ahead and just finish up the video. So I received a package today in the mail. Now, this package was not going to be in this video. I was originally going to save this for the October collection update if it happens. But since it arrived today, I figured I might as well show it before I showcase the vinyl. In case any of you remember from part 1 of the collection update, I was not able to get to the vinyl because I did not have enough time to record on my device. But I do now, and since I got this package, which is a CD, since I got this package, I figured I would go ahead and show this before I get into the vinyl. I do have another CD arriving very shortly, but it will be in the next collection update because, well, let's face it, this video by itself is taking long enough to get finished. This is an album that I recently started listening to, and it grew on me very fast. In fact, I did not think that I would end up as attached to this record as I am. I'm a really big fan of Attila. My favorite album of theirs is the About That Life album from 2013. I'm slowly working around their discography, and this album that I'm unboxing happens to be one of those albums. This is an album that came out when I was in 10th grade, but I never got around to listening to it. Recently, I just suddenly got the idea, hey, maybe I should finally listen to that album. So I did, and it became one of my favorites from Attila's discography. In fact, this album has been pretty much on repeat ever since I first listened to it. And I honestly regret not listening to it when I was in 10th grade because I guarantee you I probably would have been attached to it back then as well. I am going to begin opening it. I've already wasted a few minutes. Telling you, some of these cardboard packages are impossible to open, but looks like I finally got it. And the album is none other than Chaos from 2016. This is honestly one of their best albums. I love pretty much every song on it, and I think it's really cool that they put this in a green case to match the green album cover. I actually really like that. And that's the disc. For some reason they put these little tags on them. But yeah, that is the inside. I also really love this. I saw this in the background of some of the videos, but I never really got to look at it. That is behind the disc. Has really cool artwork. I also really like that they use graffiti for the track listing text. Now, it looks like it has a booklet too, so I know I didn't show the booklets with any of the other albums, but since this is kind of an unboxing, I might as well just go ahead and show it. So there's the artwork again. God, this looks incredible. Like, I really love how this is designed. They went all out with the artwork on this thing. This album also got a vinyl release. Unfortunately, though, the vinyl is really hard to get a hold of. I mean, there are copies on Discogs, but let's face it, I am not going to buy on Discogs after how I was treated last time on it. So I am just patiently waiting for one to pop up on eBay. It will eventually happen. But yep, there is Chaos by Attila. This is a fantastic album, and it's now part of my collection, so awesome. Now we get into the vinyl, the long-awaited part of this video. Some of these are unopened, and I am not going to open them because I do not have a sleeve yet to hold them yet. So some of these I'm only going to be showcasing the cover and the track listing. So I went to Second and Charles, which is where I usually buy my music at, and I found a sealed copy of an Asking Alexandria album. Now, I love Asking Alexandria. They're also a band that I've been listening to since middle school, and this is an album that I had not heard until I had bought this vinyl. I actually ended up liking it quite a bit. Now, I haven't really been up to date with them ever since the Like a House on Fire album, because I did not like that one hardly at all. I did not like the direction it was going in. I figured I would give this one a chance and see if I could potentially get into it, and I definitely did. I ended up really loving this album, and it is none other than See What's on the Inside from, I believe, 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that's what it looks like. I really love this cover. And that's the back. Surprisingly, this was only $28. And another thing that kind of amazed me with this is the label it was released on. So when I think of Asking Alexandria, I think of Sumerian Records because, you know, that was the golden era of Asking Alexandria. All those classic albums were released on Sumerian Records. Well, this was released by Better Noise Music, which is the same label that released Deuce's Invincible album. I know Better Noise Music is a relatively popular label, so it was kind of interesting seeing this Asking Alexandria album released on that label, because I'm only really familiar with it because of Deuce's Invincible album, and now the next two vinyl pressings. So Blood on the Dance Floor recently repressed all of their albums on vinyl for the first time. I mean, Bitchcraft and Scissors were already on vinyl, but nothing else was until now. Sadly, they're very expensive. They cost $100 each, but I have plenty of disposable income, so I'm able to afford a good bit of these. So I went ahead and I bought two vinyl pressings. And they weren't of two different albums, they were actually of the same album, because for some reason, two of the Blood on the Dance Floor vinyl pressings had two separate pressings instead of just one. Assuming it's because of the length of the albums, they're very lengthy, but I don't really know or care. But I went ahead and I bought the vinyl pressings of one of my favorite albums. So I have Evolution Disc 1. This one is a lot more true to the original album than the second disc is. Like, it has a cover that's very similar to the original, but it just shows Davi instead of both of them. And that's the track listing. I also got copy number 4 out of 25, which I thought was really cool. It is autographed all over the cover. And the tracklist design is really nice, even though it's a little modified from the original album. Like, it includes Club to Death and Where's My Wonderland, which are not originally from the Evolution album. Anyway, it also came with this really cool sleeve. That is the front, and that's the back without the plastic. So that's what that looks like. Pretty awesome. Now, the next vinyl pressing is Evolution Disc 2, which, even though this is not really true to the original cover, I actually kind of like this. I actually used to have a shirt with this same design on it, and I think it's cool that he used that logo in particular. I know it's not from 2012, I know it's not from this era, but let's face it, this logo actually kind of fits this cover. I also really love the text of Evolution right there, like it really pops out at you. It has kind of a 3D look to it. I'm not sure if it really shows on camera, but it looks really awesome. So, yeah, that's the cover. It's also autographed, and that's the back. And I got copy number 1 out of 25. I was the very first person to order this, and it's a bit of an honor. I really like having this in my collection. It's really awesome to be the only one who currently has this. So, yeah, don't really want to go too far into detail with that. But this one also has a really cool sleeve on it. So that is the cover without the plastic. And that's the back. The track listing, as said before, is kind of modified. Like most of the tracks on side A should have been side B of the other vinyl, but again, I'm not going to complain that much. This is still a pretty awesome pressing, and I'm glad to have it. Again, I just wish that there was some kind of discount or something for disc 2 instead of having to pay like $200 for both of the discs. This is the disc. For some reason, it didn't come with an inner sleeve, so I had to buy my own inner sleeve. That is the design. It's not really as designed as the first disc is, but I mean, it is what it is. Again, that is the awesome cover, and that is the back of it. Now, the next vinyl is another sealed one that I am not going to be opening here. This is an album that got a repress, and I did not even know about it. So the original pressings of this album tend to sell for quite a bit on eBay. They usually sell for about $100. But I found this repress at Second & Charles for only $20, so I just went ahead and bought it. The album is True Romance by Charlie XCX. This is a really good, underrated album. I didn't discover Charlie XCX until the 2020 album, but after listening to that one, I went deeper into the discography, and this is one of the other albums that kind of stuck out to me. It did take a minute to really get used to the sound of this one because it's really different from the later music, but either way you look at it though, this was a great album and I'm glad to have it in my collection, but I aim to eventually get a hold of the original vinyl pressing. The next one is an out-of-print album. So I went into Second & Charles a few months ago. I think this was actually the beginning of June, if I'm not mistaken. I went to Second & Charles and was looking through all the albums, and I decided to look over at this other area. I saw this album just sitting in the front of a box, and I was like, I wonder why it's sitting behind the desk. But I got closer to it and I saw that it was $75. Then I did some research online and found out that it's a very out-of-print album, so I was like, alright, I might come back and get this later. Then some other guy also went over to the desk and saw the album and was also trying to get it. So I rushed over and I basically just flat out took it from him before he had a chance to get to the counter. Like, he was standing at the desk. I ran over and said, hey, can I get this album? I got it, and then I just took off from the desk, and the guy was giving me this fucking look. Like, I knew he was about to buy it, so I figured I might as well get it before it's gone, because I may never see it again. And what's even better is that this is a sealed copy, and it's an out-of-print album, so that makes it even better. Like, opened copies sell for over $100 on eBay, but this was only $75, which, if you think about it, is a really good deal. Anyway, the album is Destroy, Rebuild Until God Shows. The real ones know about this album. This album was one of my favorites back in middle school. I still know almost every single line to this record. It's held up over the years, and apparently Destroy, Rebuild Until God Shows is a band again. They apparently got back together and are back to releasing music, which, honestly, I wish they had just left it alone and let this be the only album, because this album is a classic, and I don't know, I feel like they should have just left it with this one album. It makes this album feel a lot more significant, but I don't know, there's not really much more I can say about it other than it's a fantastic album and it's definitely a classic. But that is the cover, and that's the back, and as I said before, it is a sealed copy. So yeah, awesome. The next vinyl is a picture disc, and it's not exactly an album that many people are very crazy about. I like this album, but it's came to my attention that not many people favor it as much as I do, so I'm not going to waste any time by talking too much about it. But I love this album. It was the first one I listened to by this band, and it still holds up to this day. And the album is Believe by Disturbed. I don't remember if I got this summer in particular. I swear I got this around the beginning of June, but I might be wrong about that. I feel like I've had this a little bit longer than that, but either way, though, if it appeared in another collection update, then I guess you're just seeing it again. Anyway, yeah, that's what it looks like. It shows the artwork there in the back is just kind of a splatter. But yeah, there's not very much to show here, and I'm not going to open it because there's kind of a seal on it, and I don't really want to open it yet. The next album is going to seem so out of place in this video, but I found this at a thrift store, and I thought I would go ahead and get it. I also do not have any other albums by this artist, so as of now, this is the only record I own by this artist. And the album is 20 Greatest Hits by Kenny Rogers. Believe it or not, I think they did a fantastic job with designing this. Like, you can't really see it at first glance, but actually, that is an insert. That's not actually part of the cover. So when you pull the insert out, it shows the same picture, which I honestly thought was really cool. This is an artist that I started listening to because of my granddad. He got me to watch this movie that was based on this artist. I decided to check out the artist and listen to some of his music, and I ended up genuinely liking a lot of it. I saw this at the antique store for only $3, and it's in really nice condition, so I thought I would just go ahead and buy it. It's also a pretty long compilation with how many tracks are on it. 20 Greatest Hits by Kenny Rogers is now in my collection. Now this next one. Oh boy. I had no idea that this was even out yet. There is a rapper that I was sort of obsessed with back in 2021 called Lil Mariko. Lil Mariko released 1 EP and 3 singles, and it's been quite some time since any announcement of new music has happened. I was on Racher Music, which is a website I'm on all the time, and I went over to the Lil Mariko EP to see what people had to say about it. And I found out there was a vinyl pressing of it, a very recent vinyl pressing. So I got excited. I rushed over to eBay and wanted to see if I could buy it yet. Was not on eBay yet, was not on Discogs yet. And I decided to look it up on Google, and I managed to find the website that was selling it. So I quickly rushed the order, and now I have it. So yeah. This is the Lil Mariko EP, now officially released on vinyl, except this vinyl pressing also has bonus tracks on it. Side A has the original 7 tracks, and Side B has remixes, and I believe 1 unreleased track. I think it's unreleased. Pull the insert out. Now on this side, it basically has the album cover and shows what tracks are on Side A, and then on Side B it has the updated artwork with all the extra songs on it. It's also a baby pink vinyl, which I think is pretty cool. Try to pull it out. And that is what it looks like. Really, really awesome. I really love this vinyl pressing. I'm excited for her new music. It's been quite some time since she's put anything out, but I can tell you flat out, I love this EP. I think that she did a fantastic job with it. I wish that she had included the singles on this EP, but it is what it is. Like, if the songs Boring, Simp, and Where's My Jewel were on this would be a pretty completed EP release. Like, I think all of those should have been added as bonus tracks, but, I mean, that's just my opinion. It is what it is, though. It's still really nice, and hopefully those tracks will make it onto another release. Maybe an album, if that's what she's currently working on. Anyway, the next one is a sealed vinyl that I got at the new record store over in Columbus, and I am not going to open it for the very fact that it's a sealed album, even though it's a relatively common album that you can get almost anywhere. And the album is Minutes to Midnight by Linkin Park. This is a classic. All of you should have heard this one by now. This also has that classic song, Leave Out All the Rest, on it. The song that pretty much everyone knows about by now. But, yeah, that is Linkin Park, Minutes to Midnight. It's also their very first album in my vinyl collection. The next album is a sealed, remastered copy of the Black Album by Metallica. Not really much to show or say here. Everyone's heard this before, everyone's seen it before, and there's really not much to show considering I'm not planning to open this one. But yeah, it's a remastered repress of the Black Album by Metallica. The next album is If I Know Me by Morgan Wallen, which might surprise some of you that I'm a fan of this artist, but in all honesty, I do not like the new album. The new album was honestly very disappointing to me, but this album, on the other hand, I actually genuinely like most of the material that's on it, and since it's sealed, I'm also not going to be opening it. But yeah, this is also the very first Morgan Wallen album to enter my vinyl collection. The next album is one that I have been looking at in Second & Charles for a while now. This, for some reason, cannot sell worth the fuck for some reason. Like, it has been at Second & Charles for several months now, and I am the person who ended up buying it. I'm not sure why it wasn't selling very good, because it's relatively popular, and it was at a decent price of only $35. Anyway, the album is a repress blue and black split vinyl of Live Undead by Slayer, which I used to absolutely love this album back when I was in the 11th grade. In the 11th grade, I listened to everything by Slayer, like, back to back, and this was one of those releases that I could never get enough of. And it feels nice to finally see this in my vinyl collection. Now, I need a lot of their albums on vinyl. I still have yet to get a hold of many of them, but for the first time in a while, I do have a new Slayer album in my collection. So, yeah, that is Live Undead by Slayer, only $35, which in my opinion is a relatively decent price for such a classic album. Now, this next one, I cannot say very much about this one, simply for the fact that I have not listened to it yet, because I'm honestly kind of scared to listen to it. So, Davi Vanity of Blood on the Dance Floor released this EP called Tears on the Dance Floor, which I believe might be a reincarnation of Blood on the Dance Floor, but I'm not completely sure about it. There is a possibility that he's trying to release new music under that name now, so maybe he's trying to revive Blood on the Dance Floor in some kind of way, but I don't know. He released this EP simply called Tears on the Dance Floor, and it's exclusively on vinyl and digital download card for some reason. So the only way to hear this is by getting the vinyl, the CD release, or the download card. I forgot to mention CD release, but it is pretty much everywhere except for digital, so good to know. But I went through absolute hell just to get a hold of this vinyl. I walked from my house all the way over to Walmart, which is like a 2-hour to and from. It was a very long walk, and in a way I feel like it was worth it to finally have this in my collection, but I need to listen to this. I really want to hear what it sounds like. He charged like $200 for this vinyl back when it first came out, and even the CD copy is like $30, so he seems to be holding this to a really high regard. But that is the cover. I do not have a sleeve for this one. I accidentally threw it away. That is the front of it, and that is the back. It's also autographed. And I got number 4 out of 25. Pretty awesome. It also did not come with an inner sleeve, so I had to buy one. But this is what the LP looks like. So yeah, that is Tears on the Dance Floor. I don't know if Davi is trying to revive Blow on the Dance Floor in this kind of way, but whatever the case, though, it's pretty cool, and I'm hoping he releases more albums under this name. Hopefully, if this one turned out good. I still have yet to listen to it, but I will eventually get around to it. So, yeah, this was a pretty big collection update, and I do apologize for it taking so long to get these videos uploaded. My editing app just hasn't been working that great lately, but, I mean, at least they finally got uploaded. So, yeah, in part 2, I showed Chaos by Attila and all the vinyl pressings that I've obtained over the summer. So, pretty awesome. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all later. Have a great night. Hope you all enjoyed the video.